Hello and welcome. Today I will be conducting a brief tutorial for Lab 9, accessing iSCSI storage, of the VMware Labs. First, I'm assuming that you already have a test lab set up and this is ready to go. It is outside the scope of this tutorial to provide information regarding setting up VMs, setting up a basic domain, setting up vCenter servers and storage appliances, etc. So I will not be going through that and just going straight into the lab itself. Also, as I've already completed this lab and the subsequent labs after it, I've attempted to, as much as possible, revert my test lab back to the state it was in before I undertook this lab. Some things like the iSCSI storage adapter, though, could not be completely removed, so the remnants have been left behind. Ideally, I would have rebuilt my test lab from scratch, but due to time constraints, I did not have this luxury. Before setting up my host to be able to access the iSCSI storage, I first had to actually set up the storage backing via my NetApp storage appliance. To do this, we will use the NetApp Storage Manager, which I have located on a Windows 8.1 box. First, open the NetApp on-command System Manager. After you've done so, log into your storage appliance. First, we are going to configure the network adapter that we'll use for our iSCSI traffic. To do so, go to Configuration, then Network Interfaces. Once there, we're going to select Interface E0B, yours may differ, and then set it up with the IP information that we've already decided upon from our network diagram. At this point, it's worth noting that I had issues getting the network adapter to enable, and I actually had to go back to my storage appliance, delete all of the network adapters, and start with fresh ones, as the pre-configured ones just didn't work off the bat. However, this may not happen for you, so just be aware of it if you come into the same issue that I did. Next, we need to license the iSCSI service. To do this, go to Configuration, System Tools, then Licenses. Once there, click the Add button in the top left corner, and then copy and paste your iSCSI license and click Add. After doing this, we need to make sure that the iSCSI service is running. To do so, go up to Configuration, then Protocols. You'll see iSCSIs here in the list. You can see it's been enabled on both our interfaces, specifically E0B, as this is the one we'll use. Now go to Edit, and we'll make sure that the FQN name is correct in the target node. It is. Now we need to add initiators to the Initiator Security tab. Go to Initiator Security, Add, choose No Authentication, and then copy and paste the FQN names of both your hosts, or just one if you're only using one host. Then click OK. Next, we need to add LUNs. To do so, we go up to Storage, then LUNs, then once in LUN management, we're going to click Create, which is up in the top left corner. This will start the LUN creation wizard. Click Next. We'll give it a name. I've used something simple normally, just LUN1. Description's optional, you can use. Next, we can specify the storage optimization. I'm going to choose Windows 2003 master boot record, as that's the VMs I'll be using, and 30 gigs, then also fin provisioned. Click Next. I'm going to let it automatically create a volume for me in aggregate 1. You can do this manually if you want, but it's just as easy to do it this way. And finally, we need to add an initiator group. If you haven't created them already, click the Add Initiator Group button. Then give your initiator group a name. Click the Initiators tab, then click Add, then copy and paste the FQN names of your host or hosts. Then make sure the operating system is set to VMware. After this is done, click Create, and this will create the initiator group you've just specified. Seeing as I've already done it, I'll click Show All Initiator Groups, then tick iGroup 1, and then Next. Now just review our settings. They all seem to be in line. Next, and this will create the container volume for you. We have now successfully carried out the necessary steps to create our storage backing. Now head back to your vCenter server box and log into the vSphere web client. Once into here, go to Hosts and Clusters, and then click on the host that you want to use, Manage, then Networking. Once under here, we're going to add a new virtual switch. Click the Add Networking button, select Physical Network Adapter. Now we're going to add a new standard switch. Click the plus sign to add a physical adapter to this. There's only one available. Click Next. Now Finish. Now we just need to wait for that task to complete. Depending on your hardware setup, this will vary in length and time. As you can see, we now have vSwitch 1 listed and under our virtual switches. We will select that. And then click Edit, which is the little pencil icon above it. We want to go to Security and make sure Enable Promiscuous Mode. Also make sure Enable Forged Transits on. If you do not do this, this can cause issues down the line. After you've selected OK, wait for the new settings to be applied. We are then going to add a vKernel port group. Make sure vSwitch 1 is still highlighted and click the Add Networking Adapter again. Select VM Kernel Network Adapter. Next. Make sure vSwitch 1 is still selected. Going to rename the port group. We're going to call it IP Storage. And then make sure that none of these options are ticked, as we do not need them for this. Now input the IP settings that you've already decided upon from your network map. I've gone with 192.168.255.2 and a standard /24 subnet mask. Click Next. Double check the settings are all as you want them to be and finish. Now wait for this to complete. After its completion, you'll now be able to see the new VMware kernel port group you've created. We're now on to task 2. Go up to Storage, and we'll add and configure an iSCSI storage adapter. Go down to the bottom. You'll see I've already got one here, but for you, you'll need to click the little plus arrow up the top left-hand corner and create one first. Next, head down to Properties and Edit. Make sure the iSCSI name corresponds with the FQN of your host you want it to be. If not, change it. Now head over to Network Port Binding, click the plus symbol, and select the IP Storage VMware kernel port group that you've just created in the first task. Don't worry about the warning for now. Head over to Targets. Make sure Dynamic Discovery is selected and click Add. Now we're going to input the IP address that we selected in the introductory tasks when setting up our storage backing. This was the IP that we gave to the network interface E0B. Also keep the standard port group unless you changed it. Now again, we just need to wait for that task to complete. Once it's done, we should see the IP address and port of our storage appliance down under the iSCSI server. And because we've made changes, this is what this flag is alerting us to. We need to rescan all the storage adapters and devices. To do this, we click the icon 3 in from the left below storage adapters, and then click OK. This will now refresh, which can take some time. Once it is done refreshing, we can get rid of that flag now and head to Paths. Under this tab, you should now see your storage adapter, and specifically the LUN you've created. Congratulations, you should now hopefully have working iSCSI storage access. If not, double check you have enabled promiscuous mode and forged transmits on your switches, and also double check your initiators back on your storage appliance. These are common areas for things to go wrong. Thank you for your attention. That concludes this tutorial.